We've all been there, a looming deadline, a last-minute project, or maybe just a captivating book that keeps us glued to our seats long past our bedtime. Whatever the reason, sacrificing sleep for an all-nighter often seems like the only option. But while we may gain a few extra hours of productivity, our brains pay a hefty price. Pulling an all-nighter is like running a marathon without any training. You might cross the finish line, but your body will be battered and bruised. Similarly, depriving your brain of sleep leaves it exhausted and ill-equipped to function at its best. While the short-term consequences of an all-nighter might seem manageable, the long-term effects of chronic sleep deprivation can be far more serious. From impaired cognitive function to an increased risk of chronic diseases, the consequences of neglecting our sleep are significant. Understanding how sleep deprivation affects our brains is crucial for making informed decisions about our sleep habits. As the clock ticks past midnight and the hours of sleep we're missing start to add up, our brains begin to feel the strain. The immediate effects of sleep deprivation manifest in various ways, often subtle at first but gradually becoming more pronounced. One of the earliest signs is a decline in alertness and focus. Our ability to concentrate wanes, and we find ourselves rereading the same sentence multiple times without absorbing its meaning. Our reaction time slows, making tasks that require quick thinking and coordination, like driving, particularly challenging. Furthermore, sleep deprivation disrupts the delicate balance of neurochemicals in our brains. Levels of adenosine, a neurotransmitter that promotes sleep, continue to rise, creating a heavy feeling of drowsiness. Simultaneously, the production of cortisol, a stress hormone, increases, leaving us feeling wired and anxious. Sleep deprivation doesn't just make us feel tired, it actively impairs our cognitive abilities. Our brains rely on sleep to consolidate memories, process information, and make sound decisions. When we skimp on sleep, these essential functions are compromised. Memory formation takes a significant hit when we're sleep deprived. Our brains struggle to encode new information, making it difficult to remember things we've just learned. Recall is also affected as we find it harder to retrieve information stored in our long-term memory. Decision-making, another crucial cognitive process, is equally vulnerable to sleep loss. Our ability to think clearly and rationally diminishes, leading to poor judgment and impulsive choices. We're more likely to make risky decisions and less likely to consider the potential consequences of our actions. Alongside cognitive impairment, sleep deprivation wreaks havoc on our emotional well-being. Our moods become as unpredictable as the weather, swinging from irritability to anxiety to bursts of uncharacteristic anger. The reason for this emotional volatility lies in the disrupted activity of the amygdala, the part of our brain responsible for processing emotions. When we're sleep deprived, the amygdala becomes hyperactive, making us more reactive to even minor stressors. Furthermore, sleep loss disrupts the delicate balance between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for rational thought and emotional regulation. This imbalance makes it harder to control our impulses and manage our emotional responses effectively. The detrimental effects of sleep deprivation on the brain are not merely anecdotal, they are backed by a wealth of scientific research. Numerous studies have investigated the impact of sleep loss on various cognitive functions, consistently demonstrating its negative consequences. One such study, conducted by researchers at the University of Pennsylvania, found that subjects who were deprived of sleep for just one night showed a significant decline in their ability to perform tasks requiring attention, working memory, and cognitive flexibility. Another study, published in the journal Sleep, found that sleep deprivation impaired decision-making abilities to a similar degree as alcohol intoxication. The study participants who had been awake for 24 hours performed as poorly on decision-making tasks as those who had a blood alcohol content of 0.10%. The good news is that most of the immediate effects of sleep deprivation are reversible with adequate rest. Once we catch up on sleep, our brains begin to recover, and our cognitive function gradually returns to its baseline level. However, the time it takes to recover from sleep deprivation varies, depending on the severity and duration of sleep loss. A single night of poor sleep can usually be remedied with a good night's rest. However, chronic sleep deprivation, defined as consistently getting insufficient sleep over an extended period, can lead to more persistent cognitive impairments. It's essential to prioritize sleep and establish healthy sleep habits to prevent the long-term consequences of chronic sleep loss. While the occasional all-nighter might seem harmless, chronic sleep deprivation poses significant risks to our physical and mental health. Over time, the cumulative effects of insufficient sleep can increase our susceptibility to various chronic diseases. Research has linked chronic sleep deprivation to an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and certain types of cancer. Sleep loss disrupts our hormonal balance, leading to increased inflammation and insulin resistance, both of which are risk factors for these conditions. Moreover, chronic sleep deprivation can weaken our immune system, making us more vulnerable to infections. It can also exacerbate existing mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression. Given the profound impact of sleep on our brain and overall well-being, it's crucial to prioritize sleep and establish healthy sleep habits. Implementing even small changes to our daily routines can significantly improve our sleep quality and duration. Creating a consistent sleep schedule is one of the most effective ways to regulate our body's natural sleep-wake cycle, known as the circadian rhythm. This means going to bed and waking up around the same time each day, even on weekends. Establishing a relaxing bedtime routine can also signal to our brains that it's time to wind down. This could include taking a warm bath, reading a book, or listening to calming music. In a culture that often glorifies productivity and busyness, it's easy to neglect our sleep needs. However, we must remember that sleep is not a luxury. It's a biological necessity, just like eating and breathing. When we listen to our bodies and prioritize sleep, we give our brains the opportunity to rest, recharge, and function at their best. By respecting our sleep needs, we invest in our cognitive health, emotional well-being, and overall quality of life. So the next time you're tempted to pull an all-nighter, remember the far-reaching consequences of sleep deprivation. Your brain will thank you for choosing rest over a few extra hours of productivity.